Amid the hills and dense forests of Bihar, once stood a fort that holds a special place in the historical memories of the Oraon community, Rohtasgarh. According to oral traditions, it was a major administrative center of an Oraon king, a place governed by its own system of administration, rules, and a formidable fortification. The kingdom was peaceful and prosperous. There was grain in the fields, life in the villages, and a society moving forward with its traditions and well-established order. But the prosperity of this fortress had also drawn the attention of neighboring rulers. And then, one day, the peace of Rohtasgarh was shattered. Rohtasgarh was not merely a fort. It was the center of administration, society, and community life. In oral traditions, the Oraon rulers are referred to as Uragan Takar. Respect for parents was deeply valued within families. Mutual respect and social etiquette were important among brothers, sisters, and relatives. Agriculture and community life in the villages were well organized. But with prosperity came a growing threat. The neighboring kings wanted to take control of this powerful fortress. Yet, in the face of Rohtasgarh's strength, they could not easily gather the courage to launch a direct attack. At last, the day came when the enemy army launched an attack on Rohtasgarh. The first battle of the Oraon kingdom was led by a woman warrior, the brave Singi Dai. Alongside her, Dai and Champu Dai also led the women warriors into battle. With strategy, courage, and determination, the women warriors confronted the invading forces. Their resistance on the battlefield was so fierce that the enemy army began to retreat. Eventually, the attackers were forced to leave Rohtasgarh and withdraw. The fort had survived the first battle. But this victory would not be the last. The enemy began preparing for a second attack. This time, they did not rely solely on military strength. A secret plan was devised to gather information from within the fort. According to oral tradition, a milkmaid named Lundari was recruited as a spy. She came to Rohtasgarh every day to deliver milk. Because of this, she had knowledge of the fort's routes and some important locations. She revealed information about secret paths and entrances to the enemy. She also told them that during the month of Chaitra, the Oraon community celebrated the festival of Kadi, Sarhul. Because of the celebrations and Sendra, people's movements and activities were different during that time. The enemy thought this was the perfect time to attack. During the Sarhul celebrations, the enemy launched a second attack on Rohtasgarh. But this time, the enemy was unaware of a crucial secret. Singi Dai once again prepared the women's army for battle. Dai and Champu Dai took command of their respective groups. The women warriors disguised themselves as men. The enemy believed they were facing an army of male soldiers. The battle began. With a raining of arrows and traditional weapons, the women warriors mounted such a fierce resistance that the invading army once again began to retreat. For the second time, Rohtasgarh was saved. But after 2 consecutive defeats, a question began to trouble the enemy commander. Who exactly was this army that had defeated them? Lundari was interrogated. That was when the enemies discovered that the army that had defeated them twice was in fact an army of women.
She is the daughter
Lundari
of the Oraon
also revealed information about Singi Dai.
She
was the king's daughter and highly skilled in the art of warfare. Alongside her, Dai and Champu Dai were also prominent warriors. According to the folk legend, Lundari gave the enemies a clue as well. If they saw soldiers dressed as men washing their faces with water using both hands on the banks of the Son River, they could recognize that they were actually female warriors. The enemy sent spies. After some time, the spies saw soldiers by the river, and they became convinced Lundari's words were true. Now, the third battle was up. This time, the enemy came fully prepared. A massive army surrounded Rohtasgarh from all sides. Singi Dai prepared the women's army for battle. The women warriors held traditional weapons in their hands: bows and arrows, swords, salmon, balua, birrio, and del pasa. The third battle was far more difficult than the previous two conflicts. The women fought with all their strength. But this time, the enemy also knew the secret of the women's army. Gradually, the attackers began entering the fort. Singi Dai realized that the battle was no longer just about defending the fort. Now, the most important thing was to save the lives of her people and protect their future. Singi Dai, together with Kali Dai and Champu Dai, made a new decision: to get the people to safety. Under the cover of darkness, the people were led out of Rohtasgarh through secret routes. The Oraon community moved in different directions. One group traveled through Palamu toward Ranchi and the Chotanagpur region. Another group followed the banks of the Ganges toward the Raj Mahal hills. In the third battle, Rohtasgarh fell into the hands of the enemy. But the story of Singi Dai did not end there. The memory of these three battles remained alive in Oraon oral tradition for generations. According to popular belief, the tradition of tattooing 3 lines on the foreheads of Oraon women is associated with the memory of these 3 struggles. These 3 lines are regarded as a symbol of the 3 battles and the courage of the women who fought in them.
These walls hold
the stories of our ancestors. And connected to this historical memory is another important cultural tradition: Jani-Shikar. Jani-Shikar is a tradition in Oraon society associated with bravery and collective memory. According to oral tradition, women organize Jani-Shikar every 12 years in remembrance of the battles of Rohtasgarh. The women wear traditional dhoti kurta attire. They tie turbans on their heads and dress in the style of men. In their hands, they carry symbols of warfare and traditional weapons: bows and arrows, tangi balua, balam barcha, Samath sword, and del pasa. Accompanied by the beats of drums, nagaras, and mandar, the women move forward in groups. Passing through forests, hills, and villages, this tradition is practiced today in many regions in a cultural and symbolic form. Actual hunting of wildlife is prohibited today under wildlife conservation laws. Jani-Shikar is not merely a festival. It is a memory. The memory of the bravery of Singi Dai, Kali Dai, and Champu Dai. It is a way of passing history, community, and cultural identity from one generation to the next. This tradition is also seen in the cultural traditions of some Munda and Karya communities, alongside the Oraon community. After 12 years, when women tie turbans and march forward together, when the beats of the mandar echo, the story of Rohtasgarh comes alive once again in the collective memory. 3 battles, 3 warrior women, and a cultural memory that has survived for centuries. The story of Singi Dai is not merely a story of war. It is a story of courage, a story of leadership, and a story of the determination to protect her people. Rohtasgarh may have been lost, but its legend of bravery never was.